Welcome to the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined by the head coach, Marcus Freeman. Coach, you said in the locker room at the end of the game, your culture is what got it done in this one. How proud were you of your team that your culture got the job done in the end?
It was great to win the way we did, and that was in that last drive, our defensive line and our defense, but really up front, coming up with a big stop on 3rd and short and 4th and short, and then our offense in that 4-minute situation, being able to just run the ball, get those first downs, and get in a victory formation. There's no sweeter feel. You guys are now riding a 3-game winning streak. Obviously, I'm sure it feels good, but from your standpoint, what's been the difference in these 3 games, whether it's preparation or in the game itself, that's been different from the start of the year that's led to all this success? What you see is you take the outcomes out of here, a team that over 5 weeks, I think, is continuing to get better. You know, you lose a close game to obviously the number 2 team in the country. Marshall, we didn't play to the best of our ability. And at the end of the day, if we end up beating Marshall, I think people are gonna say, oh, you guys played well enough, you found a way to win, and you're on a 4-game winning streak. But we needed that to happen to really, I think, make us truly evaluate everything we're doing. And what you're seeing these last 3 games is, I think what had happened to us is that loss made us really evaluate our preparation. And me as a head coach, evaluate how we're teaching and really how we're practicing. And the game is a reflection of that, you know, but our focus has to be on our preparation.
Coach, appreciate it. When we come back, we'll break down the entire victory over BYU. It's on the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown. Coach, obviously a unique environment out there in Las Vegas. You took a bunch of college kids out there. I'm sure there was plenty of concern going into the week, but I just want to know, what was the message throughout the week, and then when you touched down in Las Vegas, that you had to get this win?
Yeah, we treat it like an away game. You know, and it was truly a away game itinerary until you got to the stadium and you realized, oh man, this is actually a home game at an away site. And so we limited the distractions because of how we traveled. We got there in time to go see Allegiant Stadium, get to the hotel, have dinner, have meetings, and I told the players, it's 11 o'clock on your body. We got bed check and we're going to bed. And so you kind of make sure they're in bed. Once those guys get in bed, they're going to sleep. And so they woke up game day and they were ready to go. And but it was an unbelievable environment. Once you got inside that stadium, I mean, you can feel the presence of Notre Dame Nation, and it was a special game.
It was a story throughout the game, but Drew Pyne, especially on 3rd down when he needed somebody, he went to 87. Michael Mayer, we could talk about him probably for a whole show every week, but he had the 11 catches on the first touchdown drive. Really great execution. We'll get to look at it later in Irish Intel, but it seemed like early on he was going to Michael Mayer and it was working a lot for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good formula for success. Go to 87, you know, and Drew Pyne's pretty smart. He's going to capitalize off of that formula, but he also can create a mismatch in terms of a double team on him and create a mismatch for somebody else. And so there's so many things that he does more than just catch the ball. He had 11 catches, but what he does in terms of a defense having to overcompensate for Michael Mayer can open up a play for somebody else, and that's what he brings to the game.
Jaden Thomas, a guy we talked about a few weeks ago, makes the big touchdown catch down the sideline. What have you seen in his development and then the confidence that Drew had to take that shot down to him in one-on-one coverage?
Yeah, Jaden's a guy that's been practicing at a really high level, just haven't had the production that he wants or that we want in a game yet. And to see him put everything together and to make some big plays, big catch, big touchdown catch, big 3rd down catch was huge for our offense, but also huge for Jaden and Drew in terms of that confidence. And what you're seeing is some guys that are making Drew Pyne look good. And that's what we need. That's what great quarterbacks have. They have guys that can make them look good, and it's been really good to see.
It was 18-6 at that point. That's the lead you took into the locker room at halftime. I want to talk about their team first for a second, too. Jaron Hall is a guy that we talked about coming into this week, 70% completion. I think he was 3 for 11 at half. He limited to less than 15 yards passing. How proud were you of the defense for the way they kind of really contained a really skilled quarterback in that environment?
Well, I think it starts that we had a great plan. Coach Golden did a great job in terms of how we wanted to defend that offense, which was really good. I mean, they were averaging a lot of points and a lot of yards going into that game. And you know, I also give a little bit credit to our offense that held the ball and was able to really control the clock. And it limits, I think we might have had 18 to 20 defensive snaps that first half, and that's unheard of. And the greatest defense there is the ones that are on the sidelines, right? And so I know that being a former defensive coordinator, hey, the longer the offense is on the field, the better defense we're going to have. And so But kudos to both sides of the ball of executing.
So it's 28-20, defense comes on the field, and they ultimately get the big stop on fourth down. Jason Admalola was up there, but really a lot of guys up front create that play. We're going to get a chance to look at it later in Irish Intel, but just on that last play that got you the turnover on downs that effectively put the game away more or less, what'd you see on that play, and what'd you like from the defense?
Well, I like there wasn't a lot of confusion. We knew exactly what we were going to do. We practiced short yardage situations every week, multiple times a week, and what I saw some guys playing forward. We weren't actually, everybody wasn't perfectly in their gap, but there were some guys playing aggressive, playing low, playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. In that situation, you have to play on their side of the line of scrimmage to make sure you get them a stop for a yard.
The offense gets it back, still had to run the clock out. They had a couple timeouts. Logan Diggs on 2nd and 15. I thought this was a really big play, actually, because there was a holding call, the only penalty of the game, by the way, against your team, which I'm sure you're happy about. 2nd and 15 could be a situation where you have to punt it back. He picks up the first down for you. Second week in a row, we've seen a lot from him where he caught the ball against North Carolina. Now he's added the running game to the element. Just what impressed you about Logan this week?
Well, I think, obviously the success of running back starts with the offensive line. And our offensive line is blocking at a really high level, man, and opening up some holes. And then Logan's hitting him, right? And Audrick's hitting him, and Chris Tyree's hitting him. And for him to pick up that first down, and they almost got him down, I think about 2nd and long, 2nd and 8 or 9, and he was able to break a tackle and run that thing for about 20 yards and stay in bounds, which was most important, keep the clock going, and that was a huge play. And then I think 3 plays later, we get another first down, and that's the end of the game.
Between Logan, Audrick, and Chris Tyree, 234 yards rushing. You had 262 through the air. It's a pretty balanced attack you have going right now. For you and Coach Reese, when you see those numbers, what does that tell you about the offense?
Well, it's a group that's unselfish, right? And that's difficult, man. You talk about 3 guys in a room, they all want the ball, and I saw them yesterday, and I think one guy had 29 reps, the other 2 had 26 reps, and I'm like, listen, how sore are you? And they were like, yeah, we're really sore. I said, imagine if you had 40 or 60 reps. They understand the importance of sharing the wealth, sharing those hits, taking care of their bodies, and then, again, being able to utilize everybody on our offense and not just being a one-headed monster. It's really what you want to see.
You talked a lot about how this is a unique part of the Notre Dame culture, that you get a chance to go and play in a Shamrock Series game, a game in Las Vegas. When you're done and you're in the locker room and it's mission accomplished, just what's that feeling like?
Sigh of relief. And that's I was talking to Coach Reese on the plane about it, and it's tough because you put all this work into preparing to win a football game, and when you win, it's the greatest feeling, but then it's almost like a sigh of relief, and you enjoy it for a little couple hours, and you got to get ready to move on to the next one. And but for our players, that's what I'm so happy for. They work their tails off, and our assistant coaches, man, like, this is the reward, right? That feeling of victory, there's nothing like it, and I want them to enjoy it.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and come back with more. It's on the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. So, Jack, you guys got your 3rd win in a row out in Las Vegas in the Shamrock Series. Seems like you guys are really rolling right now. Just what was the biggest key in the win for you guys against BYU?
Yeah, BYU is a very good team. They have a very similar culture to us. They play hard, they play physical, and they're a very smart team. So, we just had to go out there and put our culture on display, show that, the golden standard, and I think we did that. And the whole thing behind the golden standard is just improve every day. One play, one life, one game, one life, and I think that's going to continue going forward.
You had a safety in this game. A big talking point through the first 3 games of the year was the defense didn't have any takeaways. Well, last week you got a big takeaway with a fumble. There was a pick in this game. Then you guys score some points. How big was it for you to get the safety, even for the defense, really to start generating some points on the other end? Yeah,
to be a great defense, you really have to, create that chaos and be effective and make plays that can change the game. Unfortunately, we had the opportunity with the opening play and the interception from Bracey, and then later on, we got good field position. Fortunately, we didn't get the 4th and 1, the late 4th and 1, but we're able to get the stop and get a safety and put some points up on the board. So that was a big momentum turner right there.
I've talked to you already once this year, so we've talked plenty of football. The reason we brought you back this week is because there's a really unique cause you guys are really trying to promote here in the next couple weeks. Cleats for a Cause. You guys are going to be wearing some special cleats 2 weeks from now against UNLV. I just wanted to ask you, tell me a little bit about the initiative and why it's important to the team.
Yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. We've been able to partner with Under Armour to get some cleats and use their artists to custom paint them and put 4 local charities on the cleat. So we have YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Cultivate Food Rescue, and of course Center for Homeless. So it's just a great way for the players to kind of use their platform, use their brand to wear the cleats in the game, show them off, highlight the local charities, and then at the end of the game, we're going to auction them off and give all the proceeds to the charities. So super special opportunity.
The last thing I have for you is just, and I think we've talked about this in the past, but Notre Dame is so unique. And I think of this opportunity, like you said, the relationship with Under Armour, the way you guys have impacted the community, to see it all kind of come together is something I think very special to this university and this program. So to be a part of it and kind of the first wave of this kind of opportunity, what does that mean to you and the rest of the guys in this program?
Notre Dame means so much more than just coming here to play football. It's about the school, it's about the relationships, it's about the community. And so have the opportunity to give back and help the youth in this community. This is a player initiative. Like, our players are taking the opportunity and that responsibility to come out and wear these cleats and make them so we can donate those proceeds and help those charities. And it just shows, what kind of locker room we have and what really is important in these guys' lives.
One more football question. I got to take it back to the field now. You guys have been on the road or in the bye week and then out in Las Vegas. You haven't played at home in nearly a month when you get back to play Stanford this upcoming week and you get 2 in a row at home. For you, just how excited are you guys to be back in South Bend playing in front of the home crowd?
I mean, playing in Notre Dame Stadium under the lights on a Saturday, with the crisp, cool air in October, like, what more could you want? So we're very excited.
Jack, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel on the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Intel. Coach, plenty of plays to pick from in this one over BYU, but the first one we're going to look at is the first touchdown of the game to Michael Mayer from 24 yards out. Just talk me through the play.
Well, we're in 13 personnel here where you have 3 tight ends on the field and 1 back and 1 wide receiver. And the play before this, we wanted to see what they would do defensively to it. And I heard Coach Reese saying, run the play. And I knew what he was looking for. And they gave us the look we were looking for. And right here, anytime you got a linebacker or probably a safety, man-to-man coverage on Michael Mayer, we're going to take our chances. And they're playing a 3-under-3 deep defense here, but basically we knew what we were going to get, put the ball in a place for Michael Mayer to make a play, and he does it.
All right, Coach, this isn't a scoring play, but it's a big chunk yardage pickup. Lorenzo Styles makes the big catch on the throw from Drew here. Just talk me through how he gets so open.
Yeah, they're playing zone defense here, and Drew does a good job of kind of taking a peek at Mayer, which really makes that linebacker jump down on Michael Mayer, which probably it's pretty smart. But what it does is it opens up, Lorenzo Styles behind 49 here that jumps jumps Mayer. It opens up a zone for us to hit Lorenzo Styles. And what he does, he makes a heck of a catch. Mm-hmm. This isn't a perfectly thrown ball, but that's what we need, a guy that can make a catch, use his hands, and make the quarterback look good.
So, Coach, this is early in the second half. This is where you guys put together a great drive to score. It gets continued by the fact that your quarterback does a great job of keeping the play alive, getting it to Audric Estime, who then hurdles the defender. Just tell me all about it.
Well, the protection breaks down just a little bit, and really, I'm thinking, Drew, just go down, take care of the ball. Don't turn the ball over and take the sack. Let's get ready for second and long. And he finds a way to improvise and throws the underhand ball to Audric here before he goes down. And then what you see is the Mack truck, as I said post-game. The Mack trucks are meant to stay on the ground, but this one kind of jumped and hurled the guy. He looks pretty athletic there.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe he has a little track in his future, but it's good to see. And it's a big play. One of those plays where the quarterback improvises, and that's what Drew Pine's starting to do now.
I was going to ask, he's starting to do that now. This feels like the kind of play he might have not been as confident to make a couple weeks back, but his confidence is growing, and now it seems like he has the ability and wherewithal to go make these plays when they present themselves.
Yeah, I think when you're first starting, it's just like, don't make a mistake, and he's a confident guy, but you still have that mindset of, okay, I just want to make sure I don't mess this up, and now he's confident. He knows that he's supposed to be here, and he's doing a heck of a job, and now he's making plays like this.
So, Coach, big fourth down here. BYU's within a score. They're moving the ball, but if you get off the field, you can effectively end the game with a couple first downs. Talk me through this fourth down stop for your defense.
Yeah, obviously this is probably the play of the game, and we knew, they weren't going to try to do something tricky. They were going to try to run the ball right at us, and our defensive line, what you see is they're playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. They're coming off the ball. Jason ends up getting off a block here, but you see Nana Asafa-Mensah kind of setting the edge and gives Jason a chance to make this play. But it's the uses of his hands, just get off that's vertical, and he's getting penetration, and that's a huge stop defensively.
Welcome back to the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by the experts at TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's Look Ahead, where we highlight Notre Dame's upcoming opponent. It's now time for this week's Look Ahead segment. And as always, we are joined by Bill Reese. Bill, appreciate you taking the time. Let's first talk about last week's game against BYU before we get a chance to look at this upcoming game against Stanford. Really, I thought a complete game from Notre Dame once again. Looked a lot like the performance against North Carolina. Got off to a fast start. The first name I want to hit on is I think the guy that whenever he leaves, Notre Dame fans are going to miss Michael Mayer just because he is a phenomenal talent. 11 catches. He was targeted on nearly half of the throws from Drew Pine in this game. I'm running out of superlatives when it comes to Michael Mayer. What was your takeaway from his performance in Vegas?
Well, the thing that I, will always think about when I think about Michael is, his competitiveness. Everything he does, he is so competitive, wants to be the best at everything that he does. He just makes play after play. He is so reliable. But he just has, great athletic ability, great toughness, awareness, all the things that you need in a great football player. He's had those things really since the time he stepped on campus.
One thing I talked with Coach Freeman about when we sat down earlier today was just how even on the plays that were not receptions by Michael Mayer, he was creating a lot of opportunities for other players. There's Lorenzo Styles' catch that was a big chunk play that was because a lot of attention went to Michael Mayer. So we're starting to see other guys emerge. And one guy that emerged was Jaden Thomas with that big touchdown catch down the sideline. I know he's a guy that has a ton of skill that obviously fans and I'm sure the coaching staff alike are really excited about. What did you see from Jaden in this game that excites you and that he can maybe take forward going through the rest of this season?
Well, Jaden really does have a unique skill set. He is big, strong, fast, and, it's just starting to click for him. He's practicing well. He's preparing well. He is very competitive as well. And, it's all coming together for him now. We obviously need him to step up, and he came through in a big way on Saturday night. And I would expect him to continue to grow with his confidence, and now he really understands what's expected of him, and he stepped up and has really competed well and produced.
Coach Freeman in the locker room, too, talked about the culture being a big part of what got this game done late. And I know the identity of Notre Dame football is always the offensive line when it's going well. 234 rushing yards, and you see Tyree, Diggs, and Estime all getting double-digit carries. Diggs and Estime both over 90 yards, close to 100-yard rushers. When you have a three-headed monster like this running behind a line that's blocking like that, from an offensive standpoint, Bill, that has to be extremely exciting for the offensive coaching staff.
Well, Coach McCall has done a great job with those three backs, and he really has a good plan for them. And, it's like anything else, a guy that gets the hot hand, a guy that, kind of maybe has the feel, he might get a few more carries. And Saturday night, it was Logan, and Logan stepped up, made some really nice runs, some clutch runs, especially there late in the game. But they all complement one another. It's a really good room. There's just a lot of skill there with, guys that are very eager to play and play well.
The last guy I want to hit on the offensive side of the ball is the quarterback. And I think that's a good sign for Drew Pine that we're talking about so many other guys before we get to him, because that means he's taking care of the football and he's really, I think, performing at an extremely efficient and high level. And just to see, I guess, the way he's developed and evolved since that first game against Cal, it certainly is someone that follows the team, makes me excited for him and happy to see how he's gone about the last month. What are you seeing from Drew that's letting him settle in? Because to me, he looks like a very confident and, frankly, extremely skilled quarterback now that he's gotten a few starts under his belt.
There's no substitute for game reps. And as much as you practice and as much as you can try to, simulate those things, until you really get in and play at a game speed and with the competition that you're going to be facing week in and week out, that is really something that, you can't put a price on. And as Drew is getting better and feeling more comfortable, it's because he's getting more reps. He's seeing things more now at game speed. He does a great job of preparing. He has a really good understanding of what's expected of him, how to go through his progressions, and he's just building on it week in and week out. And he's been fun to watch here the last 3 weeks.
On the other side of the football, there was a lot of talk after 3 games, understandably, that Notre Dame hadn't caused a turnover and taken the ball away yet. Then last week, or I guess before the bye against North Carolina, they got that big first strip sack. First play of this game, had to inject a ton of life into the sidelines with Tariq Bracy making the pick. Seems like the confidence growing offensively, but I also want to ask you about Tariq, because there's a lot of young and really talented corners on this roster, but when you have a veteran like Tariq who's able to anchor them, maybe show them the ropes, how valuable is that for a defensive unit?
Well, Tony, you hit it right on the head. He does bring that experience. He's played inside, he's played outside, he's played in playoff games, he's played against, really high quality receivers. So there's a lot of things he can pass on to those young players, and he has. And it's really been a good situation to watch as McKee and Morrison have, started to play more and more. They go and talk to Tariq a lot, and he's been able to really give him a lot of good pointers on, how to play the position.
It wasn't a true takeaway, but the safety from Jack Kaiser, I thought, was a huge turning point in the game as well. When the defense can put points on the board, it changes the entire dynamic of the game. Jack's somebody who I think is just so consistent at that linebacker position. To get that safety was obviously big, but just when you think of Jack, what comes to mind when you think of the performances he's put together so far in his career?
Well, a couple of things with Jack. Number one is his versatility. He can play one of maybe 3 or 4 different positions on defense. And the second thing is he's extremely athletic. He runs well. He can change direction. When he came in to get that safety, he was coming in on a blitz. He beat the offensive guard, close to the quarterback, knocked the ball out. We had a chance to fall on it and possibly even get a touchdown there. But he's extremely bright. He's extremely instinctive, and his versatility is really unmatched with the defensive players.
The last thing I wanted to hit on before we move over to Stanford is just kind of the unique nature of the Shamrock Series. I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but you look at it now since 2009 when Notre Dame's played in these Shamrock games, Bill, they're 11-0, and it hasn't been, with a bunch of cupcakes along the schedule. I think the last 4 games now have been against ranked opponents. BYU had some very vocal fans, even if they didn't maybe match them Notre Dame fans in numbers. It was a unique environment, which is kind of what you sign up for when you do this Shamrock Series game. Just from your vantage point, how valuable is it for Notre Dame to keep having events like this and demonstrate what the brand means across the country?
Well, I don't know whose idea it was, but it's been a unbelievably successful series and very unique to Notre Dame. You're able to go across the country and showcase Notre Dame, the team, the fans, everyone that is a part of it. It's just an extremely unique situation, and I hope it continues forever because, number one, we're undefeated in that series, but number two is Notre Dame is truly a national brand. It's a school that, fans love to come see, whether we're playing in Florida, playing in Las Vegas, New York City, wherever we end up going to play. I hope it continues for a long, long time.
I know that I'm not privy to all the conversations behind the scenes for scheduling that, but as long as they're undefeated, I can't imagine they're going to take it off the schedule.
I would agree.
All right, let's shift to Stanford. And before we get into this year's team, let's just talk the Stanford rivalry, because I think it's a great rivalry between Notre Dame and Stanford. They and USC kind of ping pong back and forth on the schedule between who's going to be the home date in October and who will be the road date in November on the West Coast. When you think of the Stanford rivalry, what comes to mind between Notre Dame and Stanford?
Well, the two schools are very similar, and we recruit a lot of the same players. They recruit our guys. We recruit some of their guys. And, it's a very intense rivalry, I think, because of that. And, the other thing, too, is there have been a number of great games and great teams that have squared off. And, Stanford has really been, a very, very good program. And it means a lot to the players. It's another, going across the country, or they're coming to us. And there have been a lot of great players, a lot of great games that have games that have come out of this rivalry. And, Saturday night will be the same way. It'll be two teams that, want to win, and they're going to do everything they can to achieve that.
When you look at Stanford this year, 1-4, the record doesn't impress you. I know they've maybe not had the best performances that they are accustomed to out there in Stanford this year, but it's still a team with plenty of skill. You look at the quarterback too, and this is, with Notre Dame's independent schedule, I was thinking about this today. They're seeing a quarterback for the second time in a row in Tanner McKee, which sometimes when you play so many unique opponents with the independent schedule, you don't get to plan for the same quarterback back-to-back years. So McKee, somebody, if people don't remember last year's game, what stuck out on film when you guys have watched him to get ready for this year? And just in general, when you get a chance to rep a quarterback back-to-back years, how valuable is that and beneficial is it for the staff and the players to prepare for him?
Well, the one thing I will say about, about Stanford is, they've played 4 Pac-10 teams in a row, and 4 really good Pac-12 teams. And, it's been a tough schedule for them. They've been competitive in those games. They are just kind of searching to, grab hold of some things that, will be successful for them. And it really starts with their quarterback, McKee. He's a very good pocket quarterback that can move around a little bit. They'll roll him out, sprint him out to, get him outside on the perimeter. But he throws an extremely accurate ball. He has really good placement on it. And to go with him are 4 really good targets. Ben Urasek is their tight end, who has had a great game against us last year. He's an excellent receiver. Elijah Higgins, Michael Wilson, and Bryson Tremaine are 3 experienced NFL caliber wide receivers. So the combination of the quarterback and the targets that he has, they can give anybody trouble, and they've moved the ball well on everybody they play.
On the other side of the ball defensively, kind of the same question I ask you every week, but I'm always curious, when you get set for this opponent, what can Notre Dame fans expect to see defensively, schematically, when the Cardinal line up in Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday night?
The one team that really has always had a great plan for Notre Dame has been Stanford. They really do a good job as a defensive staff of, configuring their defensive structure to, what we do best. So, they're going to try to make us play left-handed, so to speak, take away what we do well. And they've done a really good job of that against Notre Dame in past years. They're very skilled in the back end. That's the one area that really jumps out. Kai Kelly is an excellent corner for them. Kendall Williamson is a 3-year starter at safety. They have a number of really talented cornerbacks. Their linebackers are very physical, very experienced. And up front, they have, a very good young freshman defensive end by the name of David Bailey, who, will be a future star, but has already impacted them. So, they're good at all 3 levels. They're going to have a really good game plan, a good scheme. They're going to be hungry for a victory, and it's a rivalry game. So we'll get their best shot. And, I think the fans will enjoy watching the game because it'll be a typical Notre Dame Stanford game, which will be very physical.
You led me to kind of my last question here before I let you go, is just about this game coming up on the schedule, kind of the midway point of the year. You get a primetime opportunity in Notre Dame Stadium. I was talking to Coach Freeman today, and I'd realized that the last home game was, in mid-September. It's going to have been nearly a month since this team has played at home in front of its crowd. Now they get a chance to play, as you mentioned, a rival team that'll be in prime time. Just when you walk around the building, what kind of opportunity is in front of Notre Dame to get back in front of their home fans in prime time?
Yeah, there's nothing better than playing at Notre Dame Stadium. The crowd will be great. The night games are great. I know our players are looking forward to it. They've been on the road. They've, had a week off. They want to, sleep in their own bed, get up and get to the stadium and be ready to go. I would expect that to be the case, that we'll really come out excited to play and be anxious to add to this rivalry game.
Bill, as always, we appreciate the time. Looking forward to the game this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Tony. Thank you.
We now present the highlights from a recent Coach Freeman press conference.
Hey, I was just wondering, 5 weeks into the season, we've been talking about finding the identity of this team, getting ready for your sixth game. In your own words, what would you say the identity of this team is now at this point?
Again, hopefully we're O-line, D-line driven, and what does that mean is that you're a team that can run the ball with some consistency, which hopefully entails the ability to throw it, and the ability to, make the defense be aggressive in terms of stopping the run that open up some zones in the pass game. And then defensively, it still starts with stopping the run. And it's not a yardage. It's not a how many yards did the offense gain running the ball. It's a mentality of, hey, we cannot let a team just run the ball down our throats. We have to be able to stop the run, and then in terms of try to make them throw the ball to have success against us.
Next question will come from Tyler Horka.
Hey, Marcus, we talked to Blake Fisher the other night, and he seems like a very charismatic guy. Obviously, we see the size, we see what he can do on the football field, but just in terms of that charisma and what he does in the locker room, could you tell us a little bit more about Blake Fisher and who he is from that standpoint?
Yeah, he is continuously getting better. He's improving. As you said, very charismatic, has a great personality, but on the football field, man, has all the traits that you're looking for in terms of developing to a great player. And highly recruited kid, obviously was here before I got here, but he's continuing to improve, and that's what you want to see.
Next question will come from Matt Freeman.
Hey, Marcus, just quick injury questions. The health of Tariq Bracy, and then the health of Bo Bauer.
Yeah, Bo will be out for the year, sustained a knee injury in practice on Tuesday, which is devastating just because he's a captain and provides so much, more than just production, just the energy, the ability to motivate our players. It's going to be a tremendous loss for us. So he's out for the year. Tariq still would be questionable for the game. He practiced yesterday, and again, I think he'll go. I hope he'll go, be able to go, but how long and how much is still to be determined.
Next question will be from Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, just following up on the Bo Bauer news, how do you adjust your rotation to account for Bo not being part of it? I know Prince plays a different position. Is that more of him? And is there maybe more junior, maybe even a little bit of Jalen Sneed coming up?
Yeah, I would think for sure you'll see more Prince Kali, who played really, really well last game. And he's a guy that we want to continue to try to get on the field more. Junior, I think we'll see more of Junior too. I think you'll see him play in a couple of different packages and, increase his role too. As far as Jalen, it's still to be determined. He's continuing to get better. Don't see him right now being a part of the defensive package yet for this game, but he's going to have the opportunity, hopefully, as the year goes on, to be able to try to play some more.
Next question will be from Chuck Freeby.
Marcus, you had a chance now to look at some film on Stanford, which you had not had the chance to on Monday. What stands out about the way they're playing right now?
Well, I think, listen, the record and the scores do not reflect the team you see, and they're a talented team. Again, as you look at the Oregon State game and they're up in the fourth quarter and lose by that touchdown at the very end of the game, and they're a team that's running the ball extremely hard. They got big, long receivers offensively. Quarterback's making good decisions. You see the freshmen come in and do some different things with his feet. So they're going to be an offense that's extremely hard to defend. They're running the RPO really, really effectively right now, and so the defense will have their work cut out for them defensively. They are a physical football team. Have had some things kind of not go their way defensively, but they're a team that plays physical, plays downhill, that's going to do some different things to present some issues for our offense. And so they're a very talented team, well coached. I've always respected the job that Coach Shaw has done coaching his team, and this team is no different. And so our guys know that we got a huge challenge coming up on Saturday night. A rivalry game. They'll be extremely motivated, and our guys have been preparing for the challenge.
Next question will be from Mike Berardino.
Hey, Marcus. In terms of pass rush without having to send extra people, how have you felt about, say, just the last two games, how that's been? What needs to happen there? What's your challenge to that group to get more pressure with the base front? And then 0 batted balls so far this year. Is that just a fluky stat, or is there something they need to be doing, timing that up to? I know you're facing a 6'6" guy this week, but to time that up and impact those passing lanes.
Yeah, we have to get 4-man pass rush. If you have to blitz guys to get pressure on the quarterback, then you're going to put your defense at a disadvantage. And so are we improving? Yes. Are we at the standard or the level that we need to be at? No, we have to continue to improve. And I know Coach Wash is working tirelessly to put those guys in positions where we can create more pass rush in terms of, are we going to go straight? Are we going to run some different games and stunts? And who's our best pass rusher? Just continuous evaluation of putting guys in positions that they can have success on rushing the quarterback. As far as batted balls, we got to continue to preach it. We got to practice it more, and in hopes that in return the game you'll have some pass deflections. That's an important part of playing defense, is be able to disrupt the ball. No matter if you're not able to sack the quarterback or truly get a hit on him, you got to be able to try to bat some balls down. That's an area we got to improve at.
Next question will be from Tim Priester.
Coach, following up on Stanford's offense, I know they've added the slow mesh stuff that we see a lot from Wake Forest, and then the RPOs off of that. What are some of the specific dilemmas that aspect of offense presents to you guys?
Yeah, well, it's two different the dilemmas that it presents. Well, if you're in zone coverage, the minute you trigger as a linebacker to go stop the run, you're opening up space behind you that they can pull it and throw it, and they're creating space and trying to put your linebackers in a run pass conflict. Well, then the answer is say, okay, go play man. Well, now you're playing man-to-man coverage and with no underneath help, because the backers have to be able to respect that run game. And so you got to do some different things up front to try to be able to have your backers play a little bit more patiently, and you got to be able to play man-to-man coverage at times versus some big, tall, long wideouts. And so it's a really good scheme that they've done a good job of being able to execute in games, and it's going to be a big challenge for us.
Next question will be from Brian Driscoll.
Hey, Coach, I have a question about kind of this defensive matchup for you. You guys have faced, I think, 3 top 20 offenses already this year, and some really good quarterbacks that are kind of dual threat guys. This is a different look, big arm quarterback, more big receivers. What is the kind of the issue that this defense or this offense presents your defense from a matchup standpoint that's different than maybe some of the offenses you face that are built more on speed and movement and things like that?
Yeah, well, I think it's, when you look at the wideouts and the length, they're tall guys that are good at jump balls, and they're going to throw it up to, and then if you get too aggressive, they're going to run some different routes that try to put you at a disadvantage. So I think our DBs are definitely going to be challenged this week in terms of being able to win the 50-50 balls and understand there is no just run game, right? In terms of a lot of their run game is based off an RPO. And so the corners at every play have to be ready to, have the ball thrown their way and be able to win those matchups, versus some lengthy receivers. And, I think the running back number 2 is just a really good player in terms of, running the ball. He's good in the return game. He's tough. He's powerful. For the most part, you've seen him take care of the football. And so that will be a challenge for our team. And then their offensive line, it's still a little bit to be determined who's going to be in there. They've had some injuries. It's kind of a little bit of revolving in terms of who's going to be in there. But listen, if they're going to be on the field, they're well coached. They're going to, do a really good job. And so I think, again, 84, the tight end. I was just thinking about him. He was a guy that last year took the ball to the house for probably 50-60-yard pass gain. And, he's another good football player. So they have a lot of different threats. They run a really good offense. And again, this will be a challenge for our defense.
Next question will be from Pete Sampson.
Marcus, watching Drew on Saturday night, I think we saw some attitude really come out and I was interested, like, how does that benefit an offense? How does that benefit a program when your quarterback has like that level of confidence? That the guy that, sort of you have to look to the quarterback, whether he's confident or not, but when he has sort of a little bit of an attitude that's coming out, how does that sort of benefit not just the offense, but maybe the entire program?
Well, it's very infectious, Pete. It's Drew Pine has never lacked confidence, and now that you're adding the execution with it, that confidence can be infectious and towards the whole team and the entire team. And you know what? It's even more infectious maybe when things go bad. When things aren't going your way. The confident quarterback that everybody believes in is now the one saying, hey, everything's going to be okay, and then when you do have success, he's the one saying, continue to pile it on. This is the way we play. And so it's really good to see you now have some of the execution and production to go along with the confidence that Drew Pine has always had. And that's what you want out of your quarterback.
Next question will be from ABC 57 News.
Coach, what is it about the emergence of the offensive line that has helped the running back room produce and thus far to open up the passing game?
Yeah. And as I said, we want to be an offense that's able to run the ball. Well, there's no running game without an offensive line opening up holes and really executing. And so it all starts with what up front and what we've been able to do in terms of move guys, in terms of making sure our guys are on blocks, their fundamentals are continuously and to improve, and then the consistency of who's in there. It's been really good to see. Now that what does that do? It gains confidence, momentum in your running game. The running backs are able to hit those holes. They've been doing a good job. It's not to just say that the running back success is all based off the O-line, but it's a big part because of the O-line, and now the running backs are running with success. But then what does that do? It creates issues for the defense. Are you going to put an extra hat in the box and in terms of create some mismatches in the pass game, open up some zones in the pass game? And so it's a beautiful portrait, right? And then it starts up front, protecting your quarterback, being able to run the ball with success in the run game. It creates some mismatches or some open holes in the pass game. And so everything has to work together. Everything has to be on point for us to have success.
Next question will be from John Bryce.
Hey, Marcus, I wanted to ask you, what do you remember seeing about Chris the first time you watched him on video there at Harvard? And then when you have a guy with that maturity, how valuable is that when you have to turn to him 5 or 6 games into the season and ask him to do a little bit more?
Well, we obviously saw a lot of positive traits, a lot of positive things that he did when he was at Harvard to make us say this is a guy that can help us. With Aid and Keanu Aina going down, we said we need a big guy inside to help us. Maybe want to add depth or be a guy that now who is a starter. And but what you still had questions, right? The competition from Harvard to Notre Dame is a little bit different. And so could he do it at this level? And he showed from day one of getting here that, Chris Smith can play football at the level that we need him to play at Notre Dame. And he's doing a really good job. And with more opportunities, which he's gaining because of the way he's been practicing at a high level. Now you're seeing performing in games at a high level. And he played more this last game versus BYU than he's ever had. And he'll continue to play more because he's doing a great job with those opportunities.
Next question will be from Tim OMalley.
Hey, Coach, just 2 quick questions. The status of Howard Cross at this point, and also Coach Golden mentioned that Ryan Barnes would have to join the varsity probably with Tariq questionable. Just wondering how you handled Jaden McKee. Was he really nickel focused in case Tariq can't go this week?
No, we've so let's start with Howard Cross. He did not practice Tuesday, for limited practice on Tuesday, but all practice yesterday. So we'll expect him to play. We'll expect to see him in there. Had a good practice yesterday, and as long as there's no regression from yesterday, would expect to see him obviously today and tomorrow and Saturday. Barnes. Barnes had a really good week of practice, which was always been my challenge to Coach Mickens and to Ryan is that, hey, you have a lot of ability and a lot of traits. He's got to do it in practice for us to gain confidence for him to do it in the game. And so he had a good week of practice, with the questions of how much or how little will Tariq play. Barnes has to be ready to go because, you got to be able to between the corners, that field corner, boundary corner, who will be the next nickel, with Jaden McKee playing nickel. And again, he's got to be ready to go. But I feel confident, one, that Tariq's going to give us something and be able to give us something just from what I saw yesterday. And, if he can't, then the next guy up will have to be able to go. And Ramon Henderson had played some nickel this week, has done a good job. And again, if we get to a point where Ryan Barnes has played corner, there's no hesitation because of what he did this week in practice.
Final question this afternoon will come from Len Clark.
Marcus, with the news about Bo Bauer, how do you and your coaching staff prepare for sudden change and anticipate for injuries?
To clarify your terms of like when a sudden injury happens like that?
Yeah, basically, with the mindset of preparing for a sudden change that may affect your game plan.
Gotcha. It's really a constant message to everybody on your team that I say this all the time. You can't wait till your opportunity comes to get ready. And if you wait for that opportunity to come, then you're going to get passed by. What do I mean by that is that you never know when a situation like Bo Bauer's happens in practice and, he hurts his knee and he's out. And so the next guy has to be ready. He has to be ready to go. And that's why you have to develop, the starters, the backups, those guys that have a chance of going to the game. They have to practice and they have to be developed and have to play at a high level. So, you never know when those opportunities are going to happen, but you always got to be ready for them. And you hurt so much for a guy like Bo that gives everything to this place. He's an emotional leader. He's a captain. He's unselfish, and he again, a guy I coached last year one-on-one, being in the linebacker room. You feel so bad for him, but you know what? You got to look at your team and say it's the next guy's opportunity, no matter if it's special teams, no matter if it's on defense, and you got to be ready to go. And that's why depth is so important.
Welcome back to the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com. Coach, hard to believe, but when you play Stanford this week, you'll be at the midway point of the season. You're riding a 3-game winning streak. The team's really going in the right direction. What excites you most about the next 7 games going forward?
Well, I think it's the challenge to continue to improve. And I know that can be coach speak and cliche, but that's really what matters. And I think what you've seen over the course of 5 games is a team that has gotten better and better and better. And the results of the last 3 games have been victories, but we've gotten better and we've improved. And so that's the challenge. And I love a challenge that how do we continue to get this team to continue to improve and not worry about, hey, we're on a 3-game win streak. No, it's about this game. And that, hey, our preparation for Stanford has to make sure that we're going to be better prepared and a better team when we play here on Saturday.
When you play here on Saturday, it'll be the first time in nearly a month you've played at home because you had North Carolina, then a bye, then you're out in Las Vegas. You get back-to-back games at home, of course, a rivalry game that'll be in prime time, always exciting. What about being at home excites you as the head coach at Notre Dame?
Well, this place is special, right? This university is special, but this place, Notre Dame Stadium, this locker room, the level of comfort you have when you're at home. We all have comfort at home, and this is our home. And we look forward to a crazy crowd, crazy fan base that we haven't been here for a couple weeks, as you said. And we're looking forward to a rivalry game here versus Stanford at night. We know Notre Dame Stadium is going to be rocking.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Marcus Freeman Show, presented by TireRack.com.